The first time I saw a human male, I thought he was broken. My name is Kexvora, battle strategist of the Zephyrian Third Fleet, and I have witnessed 18 stellar cycles of warfare across 6 galaxy clusters. I have seen creatures that breathe plasma, beings made of living metal, and sentient gas clouds that could crush starships with a thought. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the sight of Marcus Reed stumbling out of that escape pod. By the 17 moons, I muttered to my second-in-command, Terra 9, as we watched the rescue drones haul the primitive craft into our ship's bay. What is that thing? The escape pod was laughably crude. Welded metal plates, chemical propulsion, and what appeared to be duct tape holding critical systems together. The fact that it had survived the void at all was either a miracle or proof that the universe had a twisted sense of humor. Scans indicate a bipedal mammalian life form, Terra 9 reported, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she read from her wrist display. Carbon-based, oxygen-breathing, approximately 2 meters in height. Species designation unknown. 2 meters. I raised my primary eyebrow. Among my people, that qualified as unusually small. The average Zephyrian female stood 3 meters tall, with muscle density that could bend steel and reflexes fast enough to catch plasma bolts barehanded. Our males, well, they were different. Delicate creatures who stayed home, tended gardens, and fainted at the sight of blood. The bay doors sealed with a pneumatic hiss. An atmosphere flooded the chamber. My warriors took positions around the pod, energy rifles charged and ready. Standard protocol when dealing with unknown species, especially ones desperate enough to travel in what amounted to a flying coffin. The pod's hatch opened with a grinding squeal that made my teeth ache. A pale, hairless hand emerged first, followed by an arm, then a head covered in short brown fur. No hair. The creature had hair only on its head. How impractical. Marcus Reed stepped into our ship, looked around at 15 heavily armed Zephyrian warriors, and said, "Well, this is new." I blinked. All 4 eyes. The thing had just faced down a squad of battle-tested killers, each one twice its size and armed with weapons that could vaporize a small moon. And its first words were casual observation. Either it was the bravest creature in the galaxy or the dumbest. State your designation and point of origin. I barked in Standard Galactic, a language known throughout civilized space. The human tilted its head like a confused pet. Come again. Terra 9 leaned close. Commander, I don't think it understands Standard. Try the old dialects, I ordered. Vegan script, Altarian, even Terran if you have to. Wait. The creature held up one hand. Did you say Terran? As in Terra? Earth. Terra 9 nearly dropped her rifle. It speaks Terran, but that's a theoretical language. Earth is a myth. The human laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was strange, rhythmic, and musical in a way that made my secondary heart skip a beat. Myth? Lady, I was born in Denver, Colorado, Sol System, and I have got the scars to prove it. I studied him more carefully. The build was wrong for a male of any species I knew. Too broad in the shoulders, too thick in the arms. Scars crisscrossed his visible skin, telling stories of violence survived. Battle wounds. This was no garden tender. You claim to be from the Lost World. I stepped closer, noting how he didn't retreat despite being outnumbered 15-1. The birthplace of the First War. Lost World. Marcus Reed scratched his head, leaving his hair in amusing disarray. Look, I don't know what history books you have been reading, but Earth's doing just fine. Well, mostly fine. There was that thing with the giant robots last month, but we handled it. Giant robots. I repeated flatly. Yeah, invaded from parallel dimension number 47. We are up to 53 different Earth invasions this year, which is actually down from last year's 72, so progress. Terra 9 made a choking sound. Commander, this creature claims its homeworld is under constant attack, and you handle it. I couldn't keep the skepticism from my voice. Marcus shrugged, a gesture that somehow conveyed both humility and complete confidence. We are pretty good at the whole impossible odds thing. Comes with the territory when you are the only planet in the galaxy without faster-than-light travel. The silence that followed was profound. No es fetele? Impossible. Every species developed faster-than-light capability within centuries of achieving spaceflight. It was a universal constant, like gravity or the tendency of politicians to lie. How do you travel between star systems? I asked. We don't. Well, we didn't until about 6 months ago when this beauty, he patted the escape pod, became the first Earth vessel to break light speed. Complete accident, too. I was testing a new fusion drive when a black hole decided to hiccup and spit me out here. My tactical mind began working, a species trapped on one world for their entire existence, under constant invasion, forced to develop incredible defensive capabilities just to survive. If even half of what this human claimed was true, tell me about these invasions, I commanded. Marcus leaned against his pod like he was discussing the weather. Where do I start? There are the crystalline overlords, but they turn out to be friendly once we convince them that enslaving humanity wasn't worth the paperwork. The Shadow Collective tried to steal our dreams, but it turns out human nightmares are too weird even for interdimensional horrors. Oh. And the robot uprising lasted about 3 days before we realized we could just unplug them. You unplug them? Well, not literally. But Terry Patterson figured out how to hack their central command with a modified gaming console and made them all think they were customer service representatives. They surrendered within hours. I felt my worldview beginning to crack. These invasions, they come from advanced civilizations with superior technology. Usually, yeah. But here's the thing about humans. Marcus grinned, and I noticed his teeth were flat and white instead of the sharp fangs I expected from a warrior species. We cheat. Cheat. We don't fight fair. Ever. Why would we? Fair fights are for suckers and people who want to die gloriously. We fight dirty, we fight smart, and we fight mean. Last month, the Galactic hegemony sent their unstoppable war fleet to conquer Earth. Know how we stopped them? Enlighten me. We convinced them we were a quarantine world for a plague that made victims explode into rainbow-colored butterflies. They left so fast they broke their own warp drives. Terra 9 was staring at the human like he'd just solved the unified field equation using finger paints. You defeated a military invasion with lies, creative fiction, Marcus corrected, and some really convincing special effects. Humans are great at special effects. This is ridiculous, I snapped. You expect me to believe that your primitive species has defeated multiple advanced civilizations through what? Trickery and amateur theatrics. Marcus's expression grew serious for the first time since he'd emerged from the pod. Commander Kexvora, right? That's what the tall one called you. I nodded, surprised he'd remembered my name. Let me tell you something about humans, Commander. We are the product of 4 billion years of evolution on a world that actively tries to kill us. Our weather systems can level cities. Our animals include creatures that can kill with a bite, a sting, a look, or sometimes just by existing near you. We have survived ice ages, supervolcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and reality television. He stepped closer, and I caught myself not backing away. Something in his eyes, a hardness that spoke of battles fought and won against impossible odds. We didn't develop faster-than-light travel because we were too busy learning how to survive everything the universe threw at us. By the time we figure out how to leave our cradle world, we become something no other species had ever seen, a race of problem solvers who specialize in doing the impossible. And you're telling me this because... Marcus grinned again, but this time it had an edge to it. Because 3 hours ago, long-range sensors picked up a fleet of ships heading for Earth. Big ships, angry ships, ships belonging to something called the Dominion of Flame. My blood went cold. The Dominion of Flame was a legend, a nightmare whispered about in the deepest space lanes. An empire of warrior zealots who had conquered half the known galaxy and showed no signs of slowing down. The Dominion is myth, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. So is Earth, apparently. Look, Commander, I need to get home. My planet's about to face its biggest challenge yet, and they're going to need every defender they can get. One human, I scoffed. What difference could you possibly make? Marcus Reed looked at me with something that might have been pity. Commander, Humans don't fight alone. We are pack animals, social creatures. When one of us is in trouble, the rest of the pack comes running. Your pack consists of primitive beings armed with chemical projectile weapons. I pointed out. Our pack, Marcus corrected, consists of 8 billion creative problem solvers who have spent their entire existence figuring out new ways to kill things that are bigger, stronger, and meaner than they are. He paused, then added with that infuriating casual tone. Plus, we have got some new toys we have been saving for a special occasion. What kind of toys? The kind we reverse engineered from all those failed invasion fleets. Turns out, when you leave your advanced technology lying around after humans kick your ass, they tend to improve on it. The implications hit me like a plasma cannon to the chest. A species with no FTL travel, no apparent advanced technology, that had somehow not only survived but thrived under constant attack by superior forces. A species that learned from every enemy, adapted to every threat, and apparently had been stockpiling advanced weaponry for decades. Commander Terra 9 whispered urgently, "If the Dominion is real and they're heading for Earth, then they're about to learn why humans are the only species in the galaxy that other species don't invade twice." Marcus finished, "I made a decision that would change the course of the war, though I didn't know at the time. Helm, set course for Earth. Maximum velocity." Commander, Terra 9 looked shocked. "We are escorting our guest home," I announced. "I want to see these humans in action." Marcus Reed smiled, and for the first time since he'd emerged from that ridiculous escape pod, I realized I might have underestimated the danger he represented. Not to us, but to anyone foolish enough to threaten his world. "Fair warning, Commander," he said as my crew rushed to execute the course change. "Things are about to get interesting." As our ship turned toward a solar system that officially didn't exist, carrying a human who claimed a species specialized in the impossible, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to witness something that would redefine what it meant to be a warrior. Either that, or I was about to watch the most spectacular failure in galactic history. Honestly, I wasn't sure which possibility excited me more. The Sol system looked nothing like I expected. After 3 days of faster-than-light travel, during which Marcus Reed had regaled my crew with increasingly absurd tales of human survival, we dropped out of warp to find ourselves staring at what could only be described as organized chaos that Earth's moon had been converted into a massive weapons platform. Orbital stations ringed the planet like a crown of thorns, each one bristling with weapon arrays that made my ship's armaments look like children's toys. But it was the ships that truly caught my attention. By the void, Terra 9 breathed, were those things. The human defense fleet was unlike anything in recorded military history. Ships that looked like they'd been built from spare parts, and sheer stubbornness filled the space around Earth. Some appeared to be converted cargo haulers welded together with additional armor plating. Others were clearly alien designs that had been, in Marcus's words, significantly modified. That beauty there, Marcus pointed to a vessel that seemed to be held together by hope and determination, used to belong to the Nexus Collective. We liberated it after they tried to turn our oceans into battery acid. Liberated? I asked. Okay, Stoll, but they shot first, so it's technically salvage. The comms system crackled to life, and a female voice filled our bridge. Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Jessica Kane of Earth Defense Command. State your business or prepare to be boarded. Marcus chuckled. Jess always was direct. Open a channel. Admiral Kane, this is Marcus Reed aboard the Zephyrian vessel. He looked at me expectantly. Stormbreaker, I supplied. Stormbreaker. Permission to come aboard with some new friends who wanted to see the show. The pause that followed lasted long enough for me to wonder if we were about to be vaporized by primitive humans with stolen alien technology. Marcus Reed, you magnificent bastard. The Admiral's voice carried a mixture of relief and exasperation. Where the hell have you been? We have got company coming, and it's not the friendly kind. So I heard. Ite, on our uninvited guests. 6 hours, maybe 7 if we are lucky. The Dominion of Flame is bringing everything they have got. Our long-range scouts counted over 3,000 ships, including something our computers are calling a planet cracker. My crew exchanged nervous glances. A planet cracker was exactly what it sounded like, a weapon capable of splitting worlds apart. No defense could stop one. Well, Marcus said cheerfully, I guess it's time to show them why you don't mess with Earth. We were escorted to Earth's primary command station, a converted asteroid that had been hollowed out and turned into the nerve center of human space defense. The interior was a maze of corridors lined with cables, pipes, and what appeared to be hastily installed equipment from a dozen different alien civilizations. Admiral Jessica Kane met us at the docking bay, and I immediately understood why humans had survived so long. She was shorter than Marcus, with graying hair and eyes that had seen too much, but she moved with the confidence of someone who had faced impossible odds and won. Commander Kexvora, she extended her hand in a human greeting gesture. Marcus tells me you wanted to see how we handle impossible situations. Your species' survival techniques have become a matter of professional interest. I replied carefully. Kane laughed, a sound remarkably similar to Marcus's earlier display. Professional interest. I like that. Come on, let me show you our war room. The command center was barely controlled pandemonium. Humans rushed between stations, shouting orders and updates, while holographic displays showed the approaching Dominion fleet. The atmosphere should have been tense, terrified even. Instead, there was an undercurrent of something that took me a moment to identify. Excitement. Admiral, a young technician called out, Dominion fleet has dropped to sublight. They are broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's hear it, Kane ordered. The voice that filled the room was electronically distorted but unmistakably arrogant. Primitive species of the third world from this system star, I am War Prime Zalthos of the Dominion of Flame. Your pathetic civilization ends today. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. The command center fell silent for exactly 3 seconds. Then someone started laughing. Within moments, the entire room erupted in laughter that bordered on hysteria. Did he just call us primitive? One technician gasped between giggles. And pathetic, another added. I'm almost insulted. Admiral Kane wiped tears from her eyes. Oh, this is going to be fun. Marcus, please tell me you brought your party favors from the Armstrong incident. Already loaded and ready, Admiral. Though I should warn our guests, he nodded toward my crew. Things are about to get weird. Terranine leaned close. Commander, are they insane? The Dominion fleet could sterilize this entire system. I'm beginning to think, I murmured back, that sanity is overrated. The tactical display showed the Dominion fleet arranging itself in a standard conquest formation. 3,000 ships moving in perfect coordination, their planet cracker positioned safely in the rear. It was textbook military doctrine, the kind taught in every war college across the galaxy. Admiral, the communications officer reported, they are demanding a response to their surrender ultimatum. Kane stood up, straightening her uniform. Open a channel. Full broadcast, all frequencies. The main screen lit up, showing Admiral Kane standing calmly in front of the barely organized chaos of a human command center. When she spoke, her voice carried across space to every ship in both fleets. War Prime Zalthos, this is Admiral Jessica Kane of Earth Defense Command. Thank you for the advance notice of your arrival. We have prepared something special for the occasion. The alien's response was immediate and predictably arrogant. You dare mock the Dominion of Flame? Your world will burn for your insolence. Actually, Kane replied conversationally. I was hoping you'd say that. Marcus, would you do the honors? Marcus Reed stepped into view of the camera, still wearing that infuriating casual smile. War Prime Zalthos, before you make any hasty decisions, I should probably mention that Earth has a new defense system we have been dying to test. Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate Dominion shields, Zalthos snarled. Oh, we are not planning to shoot you, Marcus said. We are planning to annoy you to death. Before anyone could ask what that meant, every screen in the command center lit up with the same message. Operation Rickroll initiated. I had no idea what a Rickrolls was, but the humans in the room started grinning like predators who just spotted wounded prey. Across space, something extraordinary happened. Every ship in the Dominion fleet suddenly began broadcasting the same signal. Not from their communications arrays, but from their internal systems. Engineering stations, navigation computers, life support displays. Even the waste management systems began displaying the same image. A human male with distinctive reddish hair began singing and dancing on every screen throughout the Dominion fleet. What is this? Warprime Zalthos's voice cracked with confusion and rage. That, Marcus explained cheerfully, is Rick Astley, and you have just been introduced to one of humanity's most devastating psychological warfare techniques. We call it the Rickroll, and it's now running on every computer system in your fleet. The tactical display showed chaos spreading through the Dominion formation as ships began breaking ranks. Their crews presumably trying to understand why their critical systems were playing what appeared to be primitive human entertainment. You see, Admiral Kane added, her voice taking on a lecturing tone, while you were busy conquering the galaxy with brute force, we were perfecting the art of digital infiltration. Every communication you've sent, every scan you have performed, every time you've accessed our public networks, we have been quietly installing little presence in your systems. Impossible, Zalthos protested, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Dominion encryption is unbreakable. Your encryption assumes that the people trying to break it are playing by the same rules you are, Marcus replied. Humans don't do rules. We do solutions. A new voice joined the conversation, this one belonging to a teenage human who couldn't have been older than 16 standard years. Hi there, I'm Tommy Chun from the MIT Hacker Collective. We have been working on your systems for about 4 months now, ever since our deep space monitors picked up your fleet movements. My tactical mind reeled. These humans had known about the Dominion threat for months, and had spent that time not building weapons or fortifications, but installing computer viruses in enemy systems. For months, I whispered to Terranine. They have been planning this for 4 months. The really fun part, Tommy continued, is that the Rickroll is just the opening act. See, while your crews are distracted by Rick Astley's greatest hits, our real surprise is activating. Across the Dominion fleet, ships began acting strangely. Some started spinning slowly end over end. Others began flashing their running lights in patterns that spelled out rude messages in standard Galactic. The planet Cracker itself began playing what sounded like classical Earth music at volumes that could be heard across the vacuum of space. Status report. Zalthos screamed at his subordinates. Our navigation systems are plotting courses to something called Disney World, came a panicked response. Engineering reports that all our replicators are now programmed to produce only a substance called pineapple pizza, and life support keeps asking if we want to hear a joke about chickens crossing roads. Admiral Kane nodded approvingly. Phase 2, Marcus. Marcus stepped closer to the camera. Warprime Zalthos, I'd like you to meet some friends of ours. Computer, activate the friendship protocol. Every human in the command center began speaking in unison. Their voices somehow synchronized despite the apparent chaos around them. The people of Earth would like to formally invite the Dominion of Flame to participate in our cultural exchange program. Your ship's computers are now loaded with the complete works of human entertainment, including but not limited to every cat video ever made, the entire filmography of something called aeriality television, 17,000 hours of political debates, and our complete collection of internet memes dating back to the early 21st century. The silence from the Dominion fleet was deafening. Additionally, the humans continued in their eerily synchronized chorus. Your weapon systems have been replaced with confetti cannons. Your serious military communications have been rerouted through our customer service department, and your ship's computer will now respond only to the magic word please. Warprime Zalthos' voice, when it finally came, sounded like a broken machine. What do you want? Admiral Kane stepped forward, her expression becoming serious for the first time since the encounter began. What we want, Warprime, is for you to go home. Take your fleet, leave our space, and never come back. In return, we will give you the antidote to our little computer problem. And if we refuse, Marcus grinned, then tomorrow your crews wake up to our complete collection of boy band music videos, followed by 18 hours of educational programming about the mating habits of Earth insects. And your food replicators start producing nothing but Brussels sprouts and liver. The pause that followed was pregnant with the weight of military careers ending and empires reconsidering their expansion policies. We will consider your terms, Zalthos finally managed. You have 1 hour, Kane replied pleasantly. After that, we activate Phase 3. What's Phase 3? Someone from the Dominion fleet asked. Every human in the command center smiled simultaneously, and I felt a chill run down my spine. Phase 3, Marcus said cheerfully, is when we show you our collection of Earth's political campaign advertisements. 24 hours a day, every day, until you either leave or go insane. Most species choose to leave. The Dominion fleet was gone within 37 minutes. I watched 3,000 of the galaxy's most feared warships flee from a handful of humans armed with nothing but creative computer programming and an inexplicable ability to weaponize entertainment. I realized I was witnessing the birth of a new era in galactic politics. Commander Kexvara, Admiral Kane approached me as the last Dominion ship vanished into hyperspace. I believe this was what you wanted to see. I looked around the command center, where humans were celebrating their victory with the same casual attitude they'd shown when facing annihilation, and nodded slowly. Admiral Kane, I said carefully, my people would like to discuss a mutual defense pact. Marcus Reed laughed, clapping me on the shoulder with surprising strength. Welcome to Earth, Commander. We're going to get along just fine. As my ship prepared to carry news of this encounter back to Zephyrian space, I couldn't help but wonder what other surprises humanity had in store for the galaxy. But the humans, it seemed, weren't done surprising me yet. Commander, Admiral Kane approached with that same disarming smile. Before you head back to report to your superiors, there's something else you should see. Consider it a bonus feature. Marcus Reed nodded enthusiastically. Oh yeah, you're gonna love this. Tommy, bring up the archive. The teenage hacker's fingers danced across his console, and suddenly the main display filled with what appeared to be a vast digital library. File upon file, each labeled with species names I recognized from across the galaxy. What am I looking at? I asked, though a cold suspicion was already forming in my mind. This, Tommy said proudly, is our complete guide to not getting your butt kicked by humans. We have been documenting every invasion attempt for the past 50 years. Battle tactics, technology specs, psychological profiles, even dietary preferences of every hostile species that's tried to conquer Earth. Admiral Kane gestured to the massive database. Turns out, when you're invaded as often as we are, you start keeping very detailed notes. And humans, as you may have noticed, are excellent at sharing information. Every time someone attacks us, Marcus added, we learn everything we can about them. Their weaknesses, their fears, their embarrassing cultural taboos. Then we share that information with anyone else who might find it useful. I stared at the display, scrolling through entries for species I'd heard of only in whispered rumors. The Void Hunters, who had terrorized 3 sectors before mysteriously abandoning their conquest campaigns. The Crystal Syndicate, whose fleets had simply vanished overnight. The Machine Collective, who had reportedly suffered a complete system-wide nervous breakdown. You have been doing this for 50 years, Terranine asked, her voice barely above a whisper. 53, actually, Admiral Kane corrected. We started keeping records after the Mantis Swarm incident. Figured if we were going to keep getting invaded, we might as well make it educational. A new file caught my attention, Zephyrian battle doctrine and tactical preferences. I felt my blood turn to ice. You have files on my people? Marcus looked genuinely apologetic. Well, not invasion files. You guys never try to conquer us. But we do have some very detailed analyses of Zephyrian military structure, based on your reputation and a few encounters with some of your, less diplomatic neighbors. How detailed? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Tommy pulled up the file, and I watched my species' military secrets laid bare. Troop movements, weapon capabilities, even our traditional battle formations were documented with frightening accuracy. Where did you get this information? Trade networks, mostly, Admiral Kane explained. Humans are very good at making friends. And friends, as you know, like to talk, especially about mutual acquaintances who might cause trouble. Mutual acquaintances like the hegemony of suns. Marcus added helpfully. They tried to invade us about 2 years ago. During the interrogation of their survivors, they mentioned having some territorial disputes with the Zephyrian Third Fleet. Your fleet, if I'm not mistaken. My mind reeled. You interrogated hegemony survivors. Oh, we don't torture anyone, Admiral Kane said quickly. We just put them in a room with our diplomatic corps and let them talk. Humans are remarkably good listeners when we want to be. What she means, Tommy grinned, is that we serve really good coffee and ask a lot of very friendly questions. You'd be amazed what people will tell you when they think you are just making conversation. I struggled for words. This is intelligence gathering on a galactic scale. This is survival, Marcus corrected gently. When you're the only species in the galaxy without FTL capability, you learn to use every other advantage you can get. Information is the best advantage there is. Admiral Kane gestured to another section of the database. We also maintain detailed psychological profiles of every major political and military leader in known space. Their fears, their ambitions, their personal quirks. It's amazing how much you can learn about someone just by monitoring their public communications. Public communications? Species across the galaxy love to broadcast their achievements, Tommy explained. Victory speeches, military parades, political rallies. We record everything, analyze the language patterns, study the body language, map the relationships between different leaders. And then we use that information to craft very specific responses to any threats, Marcus added. Like today, we knew exactly what buttons to push with War Prime's Althos because we have been studying Dominion psychology for months. I looked around the command center with new eyes, seeing not just the barely controlled chaos of human operations, but the underlying structure of the most sophisticated intelligence network in galactic history. How many species have you analyzed? All of them, Admiral Kane said simply. Every known species in the galaxy, plus a few that aren't supposed to exist yet. What do you mean, aren't supposed to exist yet? Marcus and the Admiral exchanged glances. Well, Marcus said carefully, let's just say that sometimes our deep space monitoring equipment picks up transmission from species that our databases say shouldn't have developed radio technology for another few thousand years. Time travel. Terra 9 gasped. Probably just calculation errors in our xenoarchaeological models, Admiral Kane said quickly. The point is, we try to stay informed about everything happening in our local galactic neighborhood. Local neighborhood being defined as everything within 50,000 light years, Tommy added cheerfully. The scope of what these humans had accomplished was staggering. Without faster-than-light travel, trapped on one world, they had somehow created the most comprehensive intelligence network in known space. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Admiral Kane's expression grew serious. Because Commander Kexvora, we'd like to offer you a job. A job? The Zephyrian Third Fleet has an excellent reputation for tactical innovation and strategic thinking, Marcus explained. Your people are known for being honorable, reliable, and most importantly, discreet. We are putting together a mutual defense network, Admiral Kane continued. Species who are tired of being pushed around by the big galactic powers. People who want to share information, coordinate responses to threats, and maybe learn a few new ways to deal with bullies. You want us to join your intelligence network. We want you to help us build something better, Marcus corrected. A network where every member contributes their unique strengths. Zephyrian tactical expertise, human creativity, maybe some other species with their own special talents. Tommy pulled up another display, this one showing star maps with highlighted systems. We have already got preliminary agreements with the Crystalline Republic, the Free World Alliance, and something called the Merchant Guild Confederation. The merchants agreed to share intelligence. I asked, impressed despite myself. The guild was notoriously secretive. Well, they agreed to share certain types of intelligence in exchange for access to our entertainment databases, Admiral Kane admitted. Apparently, human comedy shows are very popular in guild space. Plus, Marcus added with a grin, we may have helped them deal with a little piracy problem they were having. Turns out pirates really don't like it when their ships start playing children's educational songs at maximum volume every time they try to rob someone. I found myself laughing, a sound that felt strange after the day's revelations. You weaponized children's music? We weaponize everything, Tommy said proudly. It's kind of our thing. Admiral Kane stepped closer. So, Commander, what do you say? Ready to help us make the galaxy a little safer for the small guys? I looked around the command center one more time, at the humans who had just defeated one of the galaxy's most feared military forces using nothing but creativity and an inexplicable ability to turn anything into a weapon. Then I thought about my own people, proud warriors who had spent generations fighting honorable battles against increasingly dishonorable enemies. Admiral Kane, I said finally, I believe the Zephyrian Third Fleet would be very interested in discussing terms. Marcus Reed clapped me on the shoulder again. Welcome to the Neighborhood Watch, Commander. Things are about to get very interesting. As my ship finally departed Earth system, carrying with it detailed proposals for what the humans were calling the Galactic Neighborhood Defense Initiative, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just witnessed the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The universe was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their creativity or even their inexplicable ability to survive anything the cosmos threw at them. Their greatest weapon was their capacity to make friends with anyone, and then convince those friends to help them turn the galaxy into a place where the bullies finally had to worry about getting their lunch money stolen. One thing was certain. The next time someone decided to invade a peaceful world, they were going to discover that the victim might have some very creative, very determined, and very well-informed friends. And those friends had access to the complete works of human entertainment, psychological warfare techniques that defied all military doctrine and enough caffeine-fueled determination to turn any invasion fleet into a cosmic joke. The galaxy, I realized with something approaching glee, was never going to be the same.